400 rallies have taken place across the United States accusing the Trump administration of threatening the country's democratic ideals. It is the second wave of protests this month after similar demonstrations drew hundreds of thousands of people to the streets. Organisers say they're protesting against President Donald Trump's constitutional and civil rights violations.
The time is now. Democracy is really fragile. It can... I've seen it around the world, how quickly a democracy can crumble, and I really hope it won't happen here.
Knowing that if I don't do anything and everybody doesn't do something to change this, that the world that we collectively are leaving for the little children, for our neighbors, is simply not one that I would want to live in.
The more people come out, the quicker the government will change.
A sea of people at Daley Plaza want to turn the tide of the Trump administration.
There's a lot of energy. People are very upset right now.
The gathering, called the People's Protest, is organized by the 50-51 movement.
50 states, 50 protests, one movement.
The protest in Chicago is part of a national movement.
And this is nationwide.
Calling on the government to uphold the Constitution.
I wrote, "The Constitution doesn't swipe left or right."
And end executive overreach.
We're talking about the Constitution, due process. We're talking about free speech here.
Protesters carry signs promoting democracy and opposing actions of President Trump. At least one protester doesn't need a sign.
I really believe in power of the people.
Because she's dressed as a symbol.
I've been taking a beating. I'm off my pedestal and got knocked down by really thugs and tyrants.
Lady Liberty says she fears for her future.
So many loved ones are hurting, whether it's economically or because they worry about ICE or because they are trans or gay.
A lot of these protesters gathering here, they actually just started to arrive. This peaceful protest just starting at 10 this morning. Organizers are calling it a Miami Day of Action. You can see here people holding signs that read all sorts of messages against the president and his administration. Organizers telling me they are here to stand for democracy. These protesters also believe people should all take a stand on big topics, including immigration, education, climate change, veterans' rights, and national security. They claim this administration has betrayed people, and they're not happy with what the president is doing with this country. We know teachers are here, parents, even kids are here. So once again, this peaceful protest is happening on Biscayne Boulevard by the Kaseya Center here in downtown Miami. We also spoke to one of the organizers about why he says people should wake up.
If you love the country, I think you got to come out and make that clear, voice that. You know, we don't just do protests, we try to do everything we can. Today's event is also in large part a community outreach event. We're trying to stand up for our fellow citizens and the most vulnerable amongst us, since the government is actively going after them.
I thought we would have our America all this time, but right now, our democracy is at risk. So I'm here to stand up for democracy, to try to help save our democracy.
Hundreds joined in front of Capitol Square today for the Freedom Rising rally and Day of Action. Organizers with the 5501 Virginia group said 11 similar protests were planned across the state to show opposition to the administration's actions on government downsizing, the economy, human rights, and other issues. Organizers also say they were protesting what they call Trump's civil rights violations and constitutional violations, including efforts to deport scores of immigrants and to scale back the federal government by firing thousands of government workers and effectively shutter entire agencies.
Of people who are here today trying to make their voices heard. Now, this is a We the People protest, one of hundreds that are happening across the country. Hundreds of protests, rallies, and other actions against the Trump administration taking place in cities across the U.S. this weekend. People bringing up issues with tariffs, DOGE, funding cuts to education, mass deportations. Many say that this big turnout sends a message that there are a lot of frustrations. Take a listen to what one of the organizers had to say.
Well, the message should be that they should change course. Obviously, what they're doing is not something that the people want. The people are turning out in hundreds of thousands, even millions, in resistance. So it's time to change course. It's time to reverse the destructive things that they've done.
50 protests in 50 states demanding change on issues like deportation, war, and government hiring.
Organizers believe more than 1,000 people gathered today outside City Hall, making their voices heard on numerous issues. The large crowd holding signs and listening to speeches, attendees speaking out against President Trump. People tell us they came out to today's protest in response to various Trump policies. Some are upset with the administration's handling of immigration and deportations. Others are worried about federal funding cuts. While they say they needed to voice their opposition, a Republican strategist tells me Trump's actions will benefit the nation.
To bring awareness, to bring more awareness, to get people out there to show what they're doing is wrong. I mean, the people have the power, and we've got to go out there and show them that we don't like what they're doing.
Now, according to the rally organizers, the group 5051, this was one of more than 800 events planned today across the country. 5051 says on their website that they're fighting to uphold the Constitution and end executive overreach.
The demonstration was part of another national day of action in opposition to the president's policies.
In front of Independence Hall in Ode City, more than 1,000 protesters joined together in opposition of the president and his administration.
We need to wake up. We can't take this for granted. Democracy dies in silence.
The protest, called No Kings, is a part of a nationwide demonstration denouncing the policies and actions of the White House that protesters say are anti-democratic.
This is a sign that from the grassroots up, Americans are saying, this is not who we are.
Right now, our people are facing federally funded programs that are being disappeared by the government. They're being cut. People are losing their jobs right now. People are concerned about their immigrant family members. People are concerned about the state of this nation.
Being of Arab descent, Middle Eastern descent, and most importantly, Muslim, I have to speak up for my brothers and sisters everywhere.
We reached out to the Trump administration to get a response about the protests, but have yet to hear back. But at an Easter event, the president continued to defend his policies on issues such as trade and immigration.
We're making America great again.
But those at the protest say the large crowd size shows many people are concerned about the future of the country and are no longer willing to stay silent.
You're either part of the solution or you're part of the problem.
Protests erupting across the country in opposition to the Trump administration, and that includes right here in San Antonio. Today's rallies are on a significant date, the start of the American Revolutionary War 250 years ago.
Those marching here today tell us they hope them coming out here and standing up helps make a change in what they say is happening in our country.
A call for change Saturday morning that has politicians and people aligned.
We're really upset with the state of our country right now. I think we care more about protecting capitalist agenda as opposed to protecting our kids.
Several hundred people marched the streets of San Antonio, fueled by decisions made by the Trump administration, including rising food costs, federal firings, immigration, gun control, reproductive health care, voting rights, in what many are calling the billionaire takeover.
We have three independent branches, the judicial, the executive, and the legislative, and he's totally ignoring the judicial branch.
It's one of many protests happening across the country. The protests are being organized through 5051, a grassroots organization that began on social media to organize 50 protests in 50 states in one day.
We stand for nonviolence, we stand for inclusion, and we stand against genocide.
Their hope is that others are also inspired to make a difference.
I'm very concerned about Texas specifically. Our government seats are very bought out by private interests, and I want to see more voices available and pushing forward so we can gain some momentum in changing Texas to purple.
And one of the most important things that we can do in coming out in the streets is rejecting that narrative. Isn't that right? Yeah! We come out here and we say, we know whose fault it is. not the fault of those minorities. It's not the fault of trans people. It's not the fault of immigrants. It's not the fault of Muslims. It's the fault of the ruling class. Unido, jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido, jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido, jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido, jamás será vencido.
I think it is very important for everybody who objects to what our leadership in Trump in the White House and the supine Congress is doing to stand up and tell them so. And also, I wish to say to our allies all around the world that I am ashamed of what we have done to you and of the approach we have taken to you. And I want you to know that we Americans do not tolerate that.
My mother's parents were deported from Paris to Auschwitz in 1944. I'm doing it for them.
Demonstrating against Trump and all his policies that are destroying America.
Hey. You look like you're Donald Trump's fan.
Oh, fan? I am Donald the Terrible. I am the Emperor of Canada, Panama, and Greenland that you're speaking to.
We're demonstrating because Trump and his administration are trying to overthrow our government. They're trying to turn it into an oligarchy. Well, they already have a dictatorship, and we, the people, will not allow it to happen.
And we know we're not going to find any friends in Congress, right? Right now, the Republicans are cheering on anti-immigrant action.
Because there's a lot going wrong in our country today, and there's a lot that we need to speak up about and address.
Unhappy. I got that. Yeah, God, I'm not
They hate it when people know that right.